Well, welcome to our October the 8th Small Business Month. Again, we're celebrating the entire month of October with hosting webinars like that with awesome, or like this, I should say, with awesome people around Chatham-Kent, as well as we have next week somebody coming from the GTA. But tonight we have Carron, and he's going to be bringing us a presentation on Shopify and shipping. So the big thing that we want to get across here is that e-commerce is a monster opportunity that so many of us have the ability to utilize and to leverage. It's one of those things that if you're doing it right now, then you probably have already been introduced to this world and how amazing it might just be for you. But if you're not doing it, then hopefully we can shed a little bit of light on some high-level Shopify stuff. Again, we will be focusing on Shopify. There are other platforms out there that you can use, and myself, Doug, Matt, all of the consultants here at the Small Business Center are able to meet with you for one-on-one consultations at no cost, and we can talk about Squarespace, Square, and all the different platforms out there, whether it's WordPress, Wix, you name it. But Shopify obviously gets a lot of attention. It fills seats, and it's a phenomenal platform that, you know, their slogan is making e-commerce better for everyone, and it definitely seems like it's what they're doing. So I won't keep you too much longer here waiting for Greg, but he is a Shopify expert through and through. Please ask questions. If they're incredibly, I'm not going to be surprised if he has an answer for you, but at the same time, it's going to be a little bit more blankety. That'll dive into a bit more on the shipping side. But again, please ask questions if you have them. We have Quentin here on our IT team that's here to help. If you raise your hand, put the question in the chat, whatever, he'll let us know that we've got something, and we'll address the questions. I'll let Greg let you know how he wants to address the questions, if he wants to do it kind of as he's going, or if we just want to keep it to the end. I think sometimes it's a little bit easier at the end, but if that's the case, make sure you write down any questions you have throughout the presentation so you don't forget to ask them. And then hopefully we're going to be able to show you this monster opportunity that's sitting in front of a lot of us here. And until you've kind of really been introduced to it, you might not realize just what's sitting there. So without further ado, I'm going to turn this over to Greg, who manages multiple Shopify stores, and he has some pretty big name clients, and I'll let him address those in his presentation here. So Greg, I appreciate you being here, and thanks again, and we're looking forward to everything that you can do for us here.
Great. Thanks, Taylor. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about Shopify with everyone tonight. I want to thank the Chatham Business Center, or Small Business Center, for just the opportunity. Yeah, we'll be going through a lot of the Shopify 101. So it'll be a split kind of class where we'll talk a lot about Shopify and e-commerce and all the different areas that you have to kind of encompass to be successful online. And then we're going to get into shipping. Shipping can be complicated, it can be simple. So it's really all about what you're producing, what you're selling online, and how you do fulfillment. And so we're going to walk through different apps and different tools that we can use, and different online resources that you guys can check out to just to further your Shopify store. So let's jump right in here. So tonight, yeah, we're just going to talk about Shopify 101. I just want to give you a background of who I am. So I'm originally from Chatham here. I grew up and raised. Went to high school out in Pancor, and then I did about 20 years or so. I did that in Toronto. I did just a lot of desktop, mobile, software development, mobile development, a lot of marketing. Then I got into advertising. So a lot of mix of a lot of different IT kind of skills. And I kind of put them all together with some design and creative. And I kind of formed this just more of a multimedia kind of developer type for my portfolio. But in the last few years, we got into Shopify. So one of my clients, my biggest clients, are Run DMC. So I kind of deal with a lot of the older hip hop, rock kind of bands, guys that have been around for a long time, but been selling kind of merch and selling online, like a lot of their merch. They just haven't had the opportunity to sell to with social media and with Facebook and Instagram and all the new tools. So I've been able to kind of grab these older brands. Another friend of ours and good client is Naughty by Nature. So just these 1990s hip hop kind of industry, and we really kind of take their audiences and we just build and build, and then now we've built this platform and this e-commerce, this ecosystem for them that involves everything from Facebook, Instagram, and then Shopify just runs that core. So here's some of the merch that we work with. Work with Adidas and other companies that do different products. We do white labeling, and we ship them all over the world. So I've been doing that for about 3 years now. That's my main focus. So let's kind of get in, and we'll see about. So originally, kind of when you start Shopify, there's a lot of setting up. There's a lot of configuration. Getting a lot of your products. Testing. Adding your products to the platform and making sure that all your photography's in there. All your descriptions are okay for a lot of the Google and the SEO and that kind of stuff. So when you add a lot of your products, you're putting in your business info, a lot of your banking info. You're gonna have to set up a whole account. Shopify is a whole e-commerce platform that encompasses everything. So you can have your marketing, you can attach a lot of your advertising, your outbound, a lot of your emails and such can all run through Shopify. But it's that inventory management, the order management, right? And then a lot of the shipping and the fulfillment. That's a big part of kind of what your store is selling online, but then having that last tail end, getting the products to your customers, making sure that they're happy. You have an easy shipping policies and easy, return policies, but that's all in that core. When you start that store, you're gonna have to have like everything all set up properly, and that. Shopify powers over 1 million merchants nowadays. So a lot of the big players, a lot of the big just white label companies that aren't into stores, aren't into brick and mortar. They're not starting. In the last few years, there have been a lot of startups worldwide that have just gone to, and it's called D2C, direct to consumer. So instead of putting stuff on Amazon and different Etsy, those are different marketplaces. Shopify is its own platform. And there is a distinction as well. I want everyone to know that like Shopify isn't a place that you go and shop. It's like you're building your own stores so that you can drive traffic to them. So each merchant has its own independent, you have to drive all your own traffic, and Shopify supports you and gives you tools and gives you a lot of help to kind of get that up and running. So one of the most important aspects of how your store works and how it kind of is how everything looks. So how you're able to install what's called a theme. And then on that theme, you can have different graphics, different home pages. You'll see a lot of the different sliders where like it's nice big hero image and it can kind of slide, and you can have product images. So you get to build what your home page looks like, what all the pages look like. But your theme is very powerful. You'll do things like, the multi-currency, your things with the mobile. So a lot of your theme has to be mobile friendly. You have to make sure that, when you preview and everything, you're testing all of your products, all of your pages, you're testing it all and make sure that it's all mobile friendly. And you can personalize, obviously, everything with your branding. You can add your logo, you can add all the different colors. So it's good to kind of, once you get that store kind of up and running, that you take the time to look at your branding, look at your color schemes, and then just start changing the fonts, changing the backgrounds, changing the colors so that everything matches. Everything's a very good unified kind of view. And like I said, your store, your design. So here are a few Porto and Ella are like beautiful themes that you can design and implement and all for your products. And they're for different types of products. Here they're mentioning a lot of different fashion, but it can, obviously, if you have a good sense of creativity, you can replace a lot of your products and get into the design here. As you can see, there are hundreds and hundreds of different designs, different themes. And I suggest you go through them, look through and just see kind of which ones you fancy and you could actually install and kind of replicate and go from there. These are some themes. There's a market. You can actually, there are free themes, and then there are paid themes. The paid themes are expensive, but they're worth it. They have a lot of code, a lot of functionality, and a lot of the stuff that you couldn't do, you can just naturally do like in some of these themes. The developers work really hard on these. So all the sales channels that you have on your store, right? So you launch a store, you're like, how are you going to drive traffic? You're going to use Facebook, Instagram, is it going to be Pinterest, you can use Snapchat. Like, how are you driving traffic through these sales channels? And there are multiple. You can use, you can launch your products and then have them on multiple platforms. So you can have them in Shopify, have all your products, and then just add different sales channels. You can add an Amazon sales channel. You have to set that all up. But then you can add, eBay, Facebook shopping. You've heard of IG shopping. So when you're on Instagram, you can actually click a product that gets tagged, and then that you can buy it on the app. That's part of the new Instagram shopping kind of experience, and it's doing wonders for brands online. Another way would be brand ambassadors, pay influencers, and then another big way, obviously, is just full advertising, launching campaigns from your Shopify store, and using something that's called the Facebook Pixel to do all the tracking and analytics. We'll go through that real quickly kind of later, but advertising is a big key of it. Building those videos, recording those videos and using them as ads. You have to push those out to your audiences, and you have to build those audiences. So you have to find who's your customer journey, like who's your perfect customer, and then use them to kind of build a profile. And are they older? Is it a male or female, or like what do they like to do? What are they? And then you can build a profile from there, build audiences, and then you can market to them. And there's lots of YouTube videos and lots of ways to learn how to do all that. And obviously the two biggest platforms that we use are Facebook and Google. And as you can see, there's different types of ads. You got your carousel ads. Video ads are the most important. They run, I think Facebook does something like 8 billion video views per day, which is insane. So there's lots of people watching videos, and you can run them a different way. Another way would to find different ads that your competition is using, and then possibly like look at different different templates that they're using, different ways that they're attracting customers, and different messaging and kind of that. And you can get inspired by that and redesign your own. You can automate a lot of your marketing. There are apps out there that will just help you with the advertising if it's a little daunting at first, and it can be, but there's a lot of help online. There's a lot of help in YouTube. You can get into, Shopify has blogs, and there are a ton of help resources online that you can get. There's full companies that'll help you. User-generated content. So that's just people, like, now that you have all these products, when you send out these products, you should be asking some of your customers, can you send me back a photo? Here's 5% off, here's 10% off if you send me a photo of you with my product. That way you can use that in what's called social proof. So you use that on your on your store, use it in your ads. Real good idea to make ads with your testimonials, with your social proof. So that people it just shows that you can, animate a few of them and then talk about your products and how much they like them, add quotes. All that is really, really gold when it comes to attracting customers for your store. These look-alike audiences, it's a very small screen, it's only one, but it is one of the most important aspects of, Shopify and traffic and selling. All this is your look-alike audiences from Facebook. So I won't go too deep into it right now, but take a look at that and go a little bit deeper. Google is huge. Obviously, we do a lot of kind of push, but you have to get into your search console. Yeah, you have to know what keywords you're using, and you have to do SEO. I know it's a lot of work and a lot of different steps and layers that you have to follow, but doing that will just secure your space in Google, and it can increase your page rank as you go and as the content that you put out. It can be very, very powerful. I'm going to go through quickly this analytics and tracking just because I want to get to shipping and talk about a lot of there's a lot of important aspects of there, but this is important as well because this is part of your shipping experience as well, right? Making sure that there's the audiences that you're building in, and when you send out those products, those automated emails have to go out. Shopify will send an email when it gets sent, and you can customize all those emails. You can add your own messaging, add your own fun little tweaks, and then your customers will kind of feel more personal, feel more authentic. And you can add videos, you can do anything you want in those emails. And that's kind of important to go down the line. But tracking everything is just so important. So one of the aspects, obviously, is the Facebook Pixel. If you haven't heard of this and you're doing Shopify, you have to stop everything and look into this. This has to be installed. This has to get tracked. E-commerce is a little bit different than, like, obviously websites and such and services. You're selling products. So you have to have everything tracked from, you know, who comes on your store, what are they clicking on, are they adding to cart, are they buying? Because all that data you can use to build up more audiences and build up power for your store and driving that traffic, which is key. Google Analytics is a good thing, obviously, to keep track of and understand how it works and understand how to connect it, how to integrate it into your store. It's just a simple code, you know, but there's videos, like I said, online that'll teach you all this. Let's get in quickly to some of these Shopify apps. So these apps, Shopify is a full app store that will do anything from, you know, order management, anything custom functionality. If you want to increase sales, if you want to retain customers, if you want to do a rewards program, if you want to do bundles or kind of upsells or anything that's, you know, complicated to a point of e-commerce. And then that way you can build these apps, you can install these apps, configure them, and they will work seamlessly with your store. And then you can design them to fit in perfectly. Order Desk is one of the apps that we use personally, and it integrates with a lot of different stores. So there are apps that sit in the middle. You can have your store, you can have your Order Desk and these third parties, and then you have, you know, the rest of the internet. So what you're doing is you're taking all these sales channels, and you can get orders from different places. What if you have different products from different vendors? That can get complicated. So it's really good to use and facilitate how your orders kind of come in and how they get split and how the shipping kind of gets involved. And it can get complicated when you have multiple vendors that you're running. Some stores will have, you know, a vendor from Europe, a vendor from Canada and from the States, and they'll just play and sell different types of products. Smiley.io is, like I said, you can add these reward programs that are very big to retain a lot of your customers, and, you know, give them points, give them you know, percentages and discounts off if they do certain actions. As I mentioned, upsells and cross sells, these are apps that will help you, you know, increase your AOV, which is your average order value. So you kind of, you know, you can sell $20 items and that, but maybe we can add a $5 a pair of socks, or maybe we can add on some adjacent kind of product that works with yours, and that'll just increase your sales. Shopify has a lot of tools. So there are a lot of tools for, you know, calculators, invoice generators, pay stubs, you know, some of the creative that you don't have access to. If you don't know how to make a logo, there's a logo maker. So there's a lot of different links to these programs and these apps that'll help you kind of run your store. Some of these tools are mini chat. So for the bots kind of on Facebook, when people come to your site, maybe they want to chat, ask a few questions, where you can have all these automated responses, automated videos, and you can program these flows that allow your customers to get all the answers they want. And everyone, I'm sure, has heard of MailChimp. MailChimp is all your email marketing. So having all your email lists, getting all those emails, and then designing different brochures and different, you know, discounts and sales, promos, kind of anything. You just send them out constantly to your, and it's a big loop, right? You're just sending them out. You're getting a certain open rate, certain clicks, and then you're just seeing from there and segmenting and then sending more out. And it's a constant good way to track all your customers. Live streaming, obviously social media, any of the social media aspects that you're doing, sending out from Instagram and Facebook, you can use a tool like Hootsuite that'll do multiple accounts. You can add in all your different accounts. You can see everything on one screen. You don't have to use different apps, you know, all over the place. That'll probably save a lot of time. Asana is a tool that I use every single day. It's a full, just a to-do list and a management, time management, I got project management. When you're doing your e-com stores, it's really good to have different sections in here, all your to-dos. There's lots to do to keep track of that. I think this is you know, a great tool. There are some augmented reality and some project management tools that I use as well, and that's just to help with your store. So there's a lot of design tools as well you can use. I like these quotes here, these quotes designs by our friend Gary V. So yeah, it's just great to have different types of content. So payments, obviously everything's integrated with payments. Shopify, you accept all your credit cards. You can add in PayPal, and adding in multiple ways for your customers to kind of to get through everything and pay for your products. The community, the help in the community was really big. They have a lot of blogs and videos. There's the Unite conference that Shopify puts on every year, just attracts a lot of developers. So there's a lot of videos on how to do things. And Shopify helps the merchants a lot. There's just a lot of controls, a lot of chat, a lot of support. You can text them and chat with them, and kind of they'll go right into your store. And there's just a lot of ways that you can kind of get help from the company, from the platform, which is great. Store Tasker is if people want to get help with their stores. So a lot of times you have questions, and it might even be about the shipping or other type of aspects. And there are these online communities like Carron as well that you can hire. Everyone knows there's the point of sale on Shopify. So you can take payments directly from your brick and mortar. I know a lot of these are online stores, but they still have that option. Security is very important. Please don't forget it. Keep your passwords nice and long. No normal words. Mix it up. Add your characters. Add your special characters. It's important. SEO is very important. SEO is strong. Every store. So now let's kind of get into shipping. Okay, let's get into shipping. So shipping can be simple and it can be complex. It's really about what you're selling and how you're organizing the flow from your product to your customer and how that looks. Do you have one product? Do you have multiple products from different vendors? Where are you shipping this product from? Some entrepreneurs and some home kind of Shopify merchants, they're shipping everything from home, and that's fine. And I'll talk about different apps and different kind of things that you can use to kind of get that out. But other people are going to use these fulfillment centers. They're going to send a lot of their products to a fulfillment center, kind of like Amazon has, and they can send it out in 2 days. So there are apps and there are platforms that'll help you integrate all that. And shipping comes down to, handling a lot of your orders, handling there's a lot of variables when it comes to shipping, the weight and the rates, different shipping zones. So different countries, right? There's international shipping. So within your own national kind of shipping, there's you have different options. You have different carriers, right? You have UPS and you have Pure Later and Canada Post. Which one do you use? And testing, getting estimates on a lot of that, and then how do you offer that to your clients or to your customers, rather? How do you display a lot of those things? We'll kind of get into that. So what I found this chart, and I found it very, very interesting, that the top one, the 50%, half of the people that leave during checkout when they abandon those carts is because of shipping, because of your taxes. Just the fees are too high. So there's a lot of ways to kind of, maybe blend in some of your shipping costs in with, or eat some of those or flat rates, and then obviously you can offer free shipping. If that's a system that works or works with your accounting, then that's something that we definitely approve. Shipping profiles are very important. What Shopify is enabling you to do now is take different sets of your products and put them in specific profiles. Let's say you had a pair of yoga pants or just a general kind of leisure wear or something that were more delicate, that needed an individual bag and wanted to get shipped separately. You could create a profile for just those products and then create zones that they're shipping to for just those products. That's kind of important when you're dealing with, multi-product and you have multi-vendors, you have different products coming from different places. It's good to have that control to be able to, tell Shopify and tell, for these, we're going to offer free because they're very small. You can put them in. The math works, and we're going to offer free shipping on that. So these profiles will allow you to kind of build separate profiles and then embed all your different products within. And then within those, you can add different shipping zones, which we'll get into as well. So the carriers, obviously, we talked about, in Canada, these are the big players, UPS, Pure Later, FedEx, and DHL, and then Canada Post for internal. If you're just doing Ontario, just doing kind of Canada, Canada Post will send it. And all of these ones will have, they're all integrated with Shopify shipping. So you don't even have to sign up for that. It just comes natively with the Shopify. You can add all your corporate accounts for all these shipping, into Shopify, and then you can have all your what's called, these carrier estimates. So sometimes, when people they want to order something online, depending on where they are, you can give them an estimate. You can give them, options of kind of what they do. Some themes in Shopify will allow you to actually put in your postal code or your address to get like an estimate on kind of how much shipping is going to cost, because it's a very big factor. And these big carriers, they'll come right to your house, and they'll come right to your home of business, and they'll pick up your packages. And there are apps that I'll talk about later that automate all this. It's important that you have to look at the whole system, right? How your products, how they're getting to your customers, and how the ordering comes in. How does the fulfillment happen? If you're doing it yourself, what's the process that you're doing? Like, are you taking the order? Your order comes up, you get a little cha-ching on your Shopify, you get an email, then you have to go into your order, and then you can fulfill, which means you're printing a shipping label, you're getting it all set up, and then that way you can kind of stay on top and make sure all the emails go out and kind of make sure everything. But if you're integrating one of these carriers, it'll be in your either Shippo or ShipBob or any of these apps, ShipStation. You'll be able to send the order, use the order through that app, and then what it'll do is it'll contact Pure later, and they'll send them. And so it's just more automation when it kind of comes to stuff like that. Yeah, like I mentioned, Shopify shipping is very good. You don't have to, so it'll display all the calculated shipping rates. You can have flat rates, you can have reduced rates, and Shopify, just take care of all the different settings that you have for your packages, right? All the weights. You have to add all the weight to all your products. The dimensions in that are more for what specific packaging that you're using. Whether you're sending out something small or whether it's a t-shirt, and the t-shirts usually come in those poly bags. So there's different packaging for different products, and you can add a lot of that info right natively in Shopify, and that'll help give the customers better rates. It'll just kind of translate it better. The shipping zones as opposed to shipping profiles. The zones are just your countries, whether it's Canada, whether it's US, or whether it's worldwide. You can actually break it down to Europe and Asia, and then within those countries. And what you're doing is you're just setting up different shipping zones that you want to ship to. So we have in Canada here, we have a shipping zone called the US. And from there, you get to decide what carriers and how much you charge for shipping to that country. Because shipping to the US might be different than shipping to Europe. You might use Pure later to ship to US, and you might use DHL to go the other way. So you're going to have to, organize and have all that info in there so that those shipping zones are set up properly. And there are videos, like I said, there are videos online. Shopify has a great help section just on shipping, and you can go through and walk through and add, where your products are, where are they getting shipped from. So Shopify will let you have multiple locations. So you can have, your house, and then maybe when you're in the States, you want to sell to the States. You don't necessarily have to ship from your house to the States. You can send a lot of your products to the States and have them shipped from there. That way, they're not going to pay any, extra. They're not going to pay super high shipping fees because they're shipping it from the States. So there's a lot of different ways of, bringing down those costs and bringing down that friction. I've used that word several times. That friction is because, a lot of customers, when they're on their stores and they see that it's going to cost, half of the price of the product to ship it, that's an issue. Right? So you have to look at your math and say, can I increase my product by a little bit and maybe offer free shipping or discounted shipping? Any words that you can add in your ads or on your Shopify store that say discounted shipping, like, don't worry about it, we'll take care of it. That's good. Like the good customer service. Like I said, free shipping. If you can offer it, do it. We do it with one of our stores across the board for every product. We just did the math and figured out we can charge this much and just hit it in. You can do what you can do is you can have estimates and make a spreadsheet and kind of tell, how much does it cost to send this product from your origin to that, whether it's from Chatham here or you're sending it over to BC. You can have these zones that'll tell you, oh, for BC it'll cost you X amount, for Alberta it'll cost you X, and Manitoba X, because it gets farther, it gets more expensive the farther it goes from the origin. So creating those spreadsheets and seeing that, then you'll be able to make good accounting decisions whether you can increase your pricing and kind of, and just hide it in there, offer free shipping. The shipping rates that we're talking about, there are flat rates. So there are rates that you can say $20, no matter where you are in Canada, $20. Because even if it costs you 23, 24, you're going to eat some of that cost, and if you can have a standard fee and just write right on your store, $20 flat rate shipping, don't worry about it. No matter what you're, even if it's multiple products, you have to think about that. Sometimes people think, well, I'm not paying for all of the shipping, but what they're doing is they're increasing their AOV. They're increasing their order. So instead of buying one product, they're buying 4 of your products. Don't charge them full shipping on everything. Discount it, pay for the shipping, then they'll come back and tell their friends. And there's lots of ways to get that money back and that value without charging tons of people all these shipping costs. That's just a view that I have, and it seems to be a good one over online with a lot of the developers. So there are a lot of shipping apps that we can use. Like I mentioned, ShipStation is one for Canadians as well, and it's a full service solution. So it'll tell you, where the orders came in from, what sales channel it came in from, what carrier it's going to use, and where it is in the process. Is it just getting fulfilled now? Is it out to shipping? And there's just a lot of ways to use software in the middle, just so that you don't get too complicated. A lot of these are just self-serving. They do a lot of your inventory management. You can assign different inventory to different stores. You can have multiple stores and run it like that. Shippo is an app that we use personally. A lot of my stores. It just enables a lot of the printing of the shipping labels a lot better, a lot easier. You can split orders between different vendors, and the tracking kind of is all embedded inside. So it'll output an email for the tracking, and we'll talk about different types of tracking with Tractor. So Tractor is an app that you can install that lets your customers have complete order status and package tracking. So it'll know exactly where it is, where it started, and it'll give it timed, stamps, just like they would check their tracking link on UPS or on Canada Post. That is an experience, but that's too corporate. That's on their side. Tractor will let you kind of brand it of yours and add your logo and add your link and make it kind of personal. You want to tell these customers, hey, I'm helping you, and here's your package, letting you know, here it is the whole time. You're being very open and honest, and that comes through to a lot of the stores. It really comes down to customer service and pushing that. And this part of shipping and fulfillment is real important. And when you get into fulfillment, that was one of the big things that everyone was talking about. When your store gets a little bit bigger and you have kind of more products and you're selling multiple products a day, or let's say over 100 or so, a few hundred a month, and your store is getting going, you can use a fulfillment center. Amazon has their fulfillment centers that you just ship out. So you can use a process or a platform like ShipBob, which is getting tons of attention right now. It's one of the hottest apps, and it's a full fulfillment. You send your products to them, and they have fulfillment centers around the states, and they will do 2-day shipping on all your products. So the order comes in, and you can see there's different costs here that they've written down. So there's costs, obviously, like for them to store it. There's costs for them to kind of, to pick it and to place it in order. But all those little costs are saving you, all your shipping, all your fulfillment. You're not doing nothing. You're just shipping your product. You're getting your product made, which you might not even make your product. You might be selling someone else's product. Then they can make all that and send it out to ShipBob, to all these fulfillment centers. And then they can just kind of come in and people can order, and they're getting very fast shipping. The customer service is amazing, and you're putting out more orders, which is just bigger in general, right? So taking all your products and really controlling your inventory, right? How you ship it out nationally, internationally. I think that's one of the most important things. Okay, so that's a lot on shipping and a lot on Shopify in general. Kind of went through different factors. Like There's a lot of info and a lot of different. There's a lot of learning to do. You know, with being an e-commerce merchant and owning your own Shopify store and running it all, there's going to be a lot of hours you're going to have to learn and get into YouTube and get into Shopify. There's a lot of Facebook groups. If you go on Facebook and type in Shopify group, Shopify entrepreneur, there's a lot of those groups that are amazing. So there are groups that you can just ask questions. I'm new. I'm wondering, how do I do this? And people will answer. They'll send you the links to apps. They'll send you just information or opinions and their guidance, and it's very fulfilling. It's good when you can be a part of a community, and that's why I was proud to help the Small Business Center here and talk to a lot of you merchants just starting off, or if you've already had your store and you're looking to go to the next level. There's a lot of different ways to do it, and we're glad that we can put on these sessions to help you guys. And so yeah, if you guys have any questions now, we can put them in the chat and we can answer away.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Greg. That was awesome. And just a quick note too, I've missed it on the end cap here on this last slide, but you can also reach out to Matt Reome at Matt RE at Chatham-Kent.ca. He happens to be on vacation right now, but I don't want to leave him hanging, and that's my boo-boo. But yeah, anything you guys have questions about, please ask him. You got Greg sitting here right now, attentive and ready to answer some questions, and he has a wealth of knowledge on the e-commerce side of things. So a couple big things for me that he touched on was your target marketing, really understanding who your customer profile is, and that doesn't matter if it's e-commerce, just traditional brick and mortar, or any business that you hope to have somebody make a transaction through. You always want to know who you expect to be purchasing the product. If you don't know that, you're just going to be spending money on advertising, not realizing that you're likely not advertising in the place their eyes are. So that was a huge piece for me. And then the other thing too, as I keep saying, how big of an opportunity we have with e-commerce. You're not limited to your kind of hyper local marketplace, right? So if you can start an e-commerce business in Chatham-Kent, and you may find that you have a very viable market right here in your back door, and that might be what kind of garners the traction you're looking for to then scale up and move out a little bit further into North America potentially. At the same time, you don't have to go after that market in Chatham-Kent. You can start selling something that, there might only be 5% of the population of CK that's going to want it, but when you can sell it to California, Texas, Florida, British Columbia, globally across the pond, you really open up yourself to a really big opportunity, right? So I couldn't agree more with you saying that, and even on the education side of things, how much you can learn by making sure you go and look in the right places. And the Small Business Center is definitely one of those places, just bounce ideas off us. You're heading down the right track. But one thing Greg had mentioned as well was YouTube videos and stuff. There's so much good information out there. My recommendation is when you're trying to vet a YouTube video, because anything that you do online, you have to have some way, shape, or form to kind of sniff out and make sure what you're looking at is credible. The easiest way that I recommend to people to do this is by looking at view counts on a video and then going straight to the thumbs up and the thumbs down. If you see a video that has 50,000 views on it and it has 1,000 likes and 200 dislikes, it's probably fairly reasonable to think that it's a decent video, good information. The date will also be very relevant, as we know how quickly technology changes. If you're looking at something from 2018, you might be getting something old that doesn't make sense anymore. But the same to be said if you are looking at a video with 50,000 views and there's 1,000 likes and 800 dislikes, I'd probably tell you to skip to the next one. Usually those are pretty good indicators. Not to say they're perfect, but again, you have to have some way, shape, or form to be able to filter a little bit of the information that you're going to be taking in, and that's a pretty decent way to do it. And before I go back to Greg, my last suggestion for these online communities in one of the least toxic environments that I personally have found online is Reddit. There are subreddits strictly for e-commerce, for Shopify, like Personal Finance Canada is a really good one. There's so many of these subreddits out there on there that have people that like Greg that give their time for free to answer questions. It's incredible, and it's something that's definitely worth taking advantage of. I think we might have a question here. We've got a few questions here actually. Greg, can you see these questions, or you want me to just ask them? Probably easier.
No, they're not in the chat. I'm seeing,
Okay.
I'm looking at the webinar chat, I guess.
So this one's a little bit specific. Again, maybe he's going to have something right off the hop for you. And some of the suggestions he's provided, like Ship Bob, I believe was one that you mentioned, likely cover a lot of industry. So it might be it. But Peter is asking if there are any specialty delivery companies for art.
For art, oh, that's interesting. I don't know any offhand, I can say, but the major carriers have different packages that you can get. If you're a lot of that you want to do yourself, you want to package yourself, and then use the service. We use DHL to ship a lot of our art, just because they offered it was the size, and there's size restrictions around girth, right? The how wide it is, and how just, I guess it had to be for a lot of their trucks or their shipping. So we use DHL to ship all of our canvas art worldwide.
Oh, perfect. That works then. We got another one here from Lisa asking, so I'm new to Shopify. I have a brick and mortar store. We set up to only ship in Canada, and I've set up Canada Post. I've noticed when we get a shipment from another province, we get charged as expedited, even though client paid for standard and I can't change, so we pay extra. So that might be more of a Canada Post question.
Well, yeah, that's more how you're setting things up. So like if you have a discrepancy of what your customers are paying versus what your carrier is charging you, then I would just kind of play with those numbers. Like you can actually set, so you can do a carrier estimated shipping. So you're telling them how much do you think it's going to cost, and it'll come right from Canada Post. So and that's what they're going to charge you. Now you can have different options within those. You can have expedited, you can have 3-day, you can have ground. So, setting those up and doing the estimators, I'd call Canada Post as well and say, I've got this code, like, well, how should I set that up? And just making sure that you don't lose money. You shouldn't lose money at all. So I would even increase a little bit on those products so that if they paid for an expedite and it costs more, like just figure that accounting out so that it makes sense.
Yeah, one of those huge things, again, that you alluded to earlier on here, and I'm absolutely no different. One of the biggest deterrents for me is the second I see somebody trying to charge me shipping. I'm so much happier paying whatever price you tell me I got to pay. Having a very good understanding that you definitely cook the shipping into the price you're charging me, but I'm happy to pay the price you tell me rather than paying a price that I think I'm paying and then find out it's something else on top of it. So there's definitely ways out there that you can find, value props for pricing strategies and different ways to think of that. You don't just have to cook your shipping costs into the price of the product you're selling, because sometimes if you're in a very competitive market, it's not going to be something that you can do, because
you're right. It's just being very clear and transparent about what those costs are. Like, have a shipping page and just be authentic. Don't be legal and don't word it. Just right. Hey guys, shipping costs us a lot of money. Everyone knows that. So we're going to charge this, and this is kind of how we're just be upfront, and people will love that. They'll see that, and people will pay shipping for it. Just can't be too much. You can't, if you're paying $100 thing, no one wants to pay $40 for shipping. So the ratio of what your product is versus what the ship, you have to make an assessment on that, and it shouldn't be too high. If it's too high, you're making a bad decision by charging your customers too much. Like you should, as a merchant, you should want to kind of eat a lot of those costs so that you have more people happy, more people returning and buying more.
That's right, for sure. I got another question actually here that I'll be able to answer from Stuart. And what can a CK company, so Chatham-Kent company, do if they don't have an online or a strong online presence? So first and foremost, Chatham Small Business Center and economic development in general can absolutely chime in on these things for you. So every single day we have more and more and more people coming in and seeing us to speak exactly on the things we're talking about right now. E-commerce, we're moving into actually we're not moving into a gig economy, we're in a gig economy. we're in a side hustle economy. So it's not exactly the era of getting one job and expecting to be there for 30 years and calling it a day. Generally, you're hearing a lot of people now that have 1, 2, 3, and 4 jobs because, and Greg, I'll chime in for you in a minute here, but what I was going to ask you is, is e-commerce a light switch? And like anything online, there's no such thing as that light switch, right? You have to be genuine, you have to be authentic, you have to identify who those target customers are going to be. And then you have to figure out creative ways in your content creation to actually get in front of them with something that's attractive to take their face away from maybe a distraction over here. But again, we offer free consultations through our Chatham-Kent Small Business Center. Whether it's for e-commerce, you want to go through just cover-to-cover business planning. And then we also have grant programs that are currently running here as well, digital maintenance being a huge one. And they have quite a few dollars in the kitty that they got to get into the community. And I believe the application deadline is into November. I'll double check those things for you, but it's $2,500 digital transformation grant. It is geographically restricted a little bit. Digital Main Street, kind of therein lies part of it. But we have 3 members from a digital service squad. So we have David Burney, who's looking after the same area that Doug Robbins would be covering, which is, towards 3, 4, and 5, which is basically Pancor, Wallsburg, Dresden, kind of getting all the way to Ridgetown. We have Irene Spizar with the Digital Service Squad in Digital Main Street, and she's in the same area that Matt Riem covers, which is wards 1 and 2, Wheatley, basically to the edge of Blenheim-ish. And then myself, I'm partnered up here in Chatham with Audrey, and she's another a great resource that you can leverage by contacting the Small Business Center and by contacting our Digital Service Squad. So get after that money. It's an extremely easy application process to go through. They do throw some education your way in the form of video, but it's only going to benefit you. The dollars do so much, there's never a problem with free money. But at the end of the day, free money only goes so far. What's going to keep making you go further and further and further is educating yourself and giving yourself the ability to do things, without having to worry about the cherry on the cake in the form of a grant because you got enough money coming in. One of the huge things is it's passive income at some point, right? Like it's not that you never neglect, but when you get it to a point where it's kind of a well-oiled machine, like I'm very certain some of Greg's businesses are, without a doubt, you go to bed and you wake up and there's more money in the account. I've heard from people that after a few years of making the sacrifice, overhead is generally speaking incredibly low, depending on what you're getting to, how much technology you need to really leverage. But I've heard from people that are putting 8 hours a week into an online store right now, and they're looking at 6-figure income, like net profit, right? Not gross revenue or anything like that. So it's not a light switch. Like anything, it's not. Social media is not a light switch. It's consistency. You're going to be sitting there sometimes thinking, am I doing it right? Why am I not getting the engagement going on here? But it's just staying consistent. And anything in life that's worth doing is typically it's not easy to do. But that's why it's so worthwhile, right?
Yeah. At the end of the day, you're making money for yourself. So like in anything that you have a hobby for, I make mittens, I make hats, I like teas, I'm funny. Like Shopify enables you to, build out your dream, your passion, and kind of your hobby, and have it, like Taylor said, more of a, a side hustle that you can kind of build, and it can build up. You just have to put the time into it. There's a lot of learning kind of opportunities, and having the Small Business Center and ECDEV, and it's good to have in a small city.
Yeah, and to Greg as well, right? Like I don't bug Greg, but I do kind of have the ability to leverage Greg from time to time. If I got I'm stuck on, he's like he's doing right now for the community of Chatham-Kent. He's also somebody that I'm very comfortable picking up the phone and giving a call to, because I know how willing he is to genuinely help us all. So we're very, very fortunate for that. I do have a few more questions in here.
Sure. Yeah.
I would get some engagement, and that's awesome that we are. So people are asking, do you have any accounting software that you would recommend for startups to connect to? And then also connect Shopify service to handle financial statements.
So all your Quicken and all your normal kind of accounting software will have integrations with Shopify. So you'll be able to pull your order management, pull all your numbers down. We send a lot of the reports that you get from Shopify. We just send them out to accountants, and they just kind of take a look. They're able to filter down and kind of find a lot of that. But I believe Quicken and all the major ones are tightly integrated into that. So that'll work.
Awesome. That's a big thing too with Shopify, right? The Shopify, if I'm going to compare it to something, I feel like it's kind of like the Apple of the e-commerce world to a degree, in the user design, in the interface, how user friendly it is. Again, going back to what Shopify's slogan is, being making e-commerce better for everyone. That's exactly what they get up out of bed every morning to do, is make e-commerce better for everyone. So the integration is immense, I would say, and to the extent they have their own app store, right? Like it's crazy. I got another question. So RJ is wondering, will we have access to the slides and the downloads? You will definitely have access to the recording of this webinar, and we'll figure out the the slide piece of it. But generally speaking, if you watch the webinar, you got the slides. I think you might have gotten muted, Greg.
That's okay. I muted it.
All right, perfect. And one for me again, so Lisa, yes, Irene Star is looking after Blenheim. So basically Wheatley down just past Blenheim. Again, she'll be your go-to for the squad services. I don't want to push anybody towards a grant without knowing with 100% certainty that you are within a specific boundary. It's a little bit ambiguous. My recommendation to anybody who's even questioning it is that you will gain education from just going through the application process. If the worst case scenario is that you get a no at the end of the day, you haven't gotten nothing because you have been educated, and hopefully you'll be able to provide or find some value out of that as well. And again, it's not an overly burdensome application process at all. I couldn't recommend it more. And the best part about it is that it can be spun to facilitating anything digital. So it's not even that you go after this grant and you have to start an online store. It could be, you've been a brick and mortar for a while and you've been a cash only operation, and here we are in COVID, and cash isn't exactly the preferred method of transaction these days. And generally speaking, you want a POS system anyways, make it as absolutely easy as possible for you to take my money, because us crazy millennials and everybody's kind of catching on. We just pull a piece of plastic out and you tap it, and half the time you probably don't even know what the heck you just bought. But generally speaking, that digital transformation grant can be extremely broad. It can be spent on equipment to better leverage your content creation potentially for an online store. And again, if you have a brick and mortar and you've just been really wondering, how can I start opening up some more avenues to generating more revenue? And a great way of doing that is by leveraging the online world, right? Again, you don't have to compete with your hyper local kind of market density right here in Chatham-Kent. You can open it up to the world, really, at the end of the day, if you got a product that makes sense. So, any other questions that want to come in, or any follow-up questions if you would have liked to have maybe more of an answer you got? Seems like we're getting a little quiet here, which is just fine. Like I said, this has absolutely been recorded. We are going to share it. We just got to get the captions out on it, stuff like that. We will be sending out a feedback survey once we get everything kind of tied up with a pretty bow. So I'd probably say expect that coming out maybe on a Monday. I would really love if you guys can fill that out for us, because we're going to ask you kind of, what did you think about it? What could we have done better? And what kind of content would you like to see? So majority of the Small Business Month webinars that we're hosting right now is based on content that we feel the community could use from the consultations that we have on a regularly occurring basis, and hearing a lot of the similar questions. So I reached out to this one knowing that, reached out to Greg on this one knowing that he's an expert on Shopify, and a question that we get all the time is logistics. How can I better leverage shipping across the country? Because logistics oftentimes can cost more than the product. there's people looking to sell a $20 product, and when they see that it's $20 to ship it, it's like, it kind of might crack the feasibility pretty quick. But there's solutions, fulfillment centers, like Greg suggested. If you need to get something over the border, we'll get it over the border in bulk, pay for it once, and then let the fulfillment do the rest of it, right? So there's definitely solutions to a lot of these things. It's just about asking the questions, and more than anything, if I can make a recommendation for ourselves here at the Small Business Center, is all you need to do to call us is have a question ready. We're here to help however we can. We love kind of putting our impact, a positive impact on the community here. We're all raising families here. We want to see Chatham-Kent be exactly what we all hope it to be. So however we can help is what we're here to do. And generally speaking, it just starts with a question. So however we can help. Let's see what else we got here. I think that's kind of, in general, I think it's pretty much what I got. I don't know if Greg, if you have anything else, but I don't see any more questions coming in here. We could probably get this puppy wrapped up.
Yeah, there's no closing statements. I think everyone kind of got a good sense of what we're doing, and like I said, if they have any questions about shipping, specific kind of shipping problems, reach out and we'll definitely get you sorted.
No, I appreciate that. That's such a huge resource for us, and I can't thank you enough. I guess so. Yeah, again, thank you very much, Greg, for coming out here. I've actually been chatting with Greg a little bit about starting to get a bit of a series here, because I know when he popped up that analytics slide, he was just itching to get in there.
I was, yeah. And there's different parts. There's different parts of this game, and just trying to. I can tell that a lot of merchants get frustrated. There's a lot of learning, and there's a lot of knowledge you need. And maybe sometimes they just have a little bit of knowledge, and it doesn't help their store as much. So I really want to, everyone says give back. This is my give back. This is I love my community. I love where I grew up, and I want to see success. I want to see these entrepreneurs kind of laughing and smiling that the help that we gave them, some tools or some the funding or any kind of thing from your side, it'll just help them succeed. And that's all we're trying to do, is give our community the best shot at
make it perpetual, right? It just starts,
absolutely. No, and it makes everyone happier. Like if you help and someone does well, it just gives that little warm fuzzy feeling. So that's good.
It's a little easier to fall asleep, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, you're spot on. I got a couple more comments here, not questions, but one from Stuart. Thank you very much, Greg, for your time tonight, myself and colleagues. And again, Stuart was also saying thanks to everybody who's actually participated in this webinar, and he appreciates our time and our interest in doing so. Another huge kind of mogul for the community and wanting to see us Chatham-Kent thrive and be absolutely the best it can be. So definitely kind of fortunate to have Stu leading the helm here. But we got another question, or sorry, not another question, another comment from Lisa, who also said thank you very much for both of our time. It was a very interesting presentation. Definitely for sure. Mark here. I guess how I'll wrap up is basically getting Greg, thank you so much for doing this. Again, feedback surveys, please let us know if you are in the e-commerce world right now. Again, we're trying to figure out where we're going to go next with the series of e-commerce, so please chime in if you find you got something caught on. Give me a shout and we'll see what we can do to help you just right there. But
I think we're going to find the stores that have no customers and no sales. We're just going to figure that out for them, because there are people that start stores and I can't get no traffic, I can't get no sales. Let's help them. So the next, anyone who wants to, if you're having problems and there's multiple people in Chatham here, we'll put something together and
we'll get this thing sorted.
Absolutely.
www.investck.ca is our economic development and small business center website. You can definitely follow us on Facebook at Chatham-Kent Small Business Center. And Instagram is CK Biz Center, so that's BIZ CENTRE. And next week, which is kind of a perfect segue from Greg's presentation, October 15th, I believe also at 6 o'clock, but take it with a grain of salt until I send you out the registrations. We have Pepper Brooks with Pepper Brooks Media coming down, and she's going to be doing a webinar such as this. I think it might be a little more even actually workshop-y, so we'll try and boast some more engagement from it. But it's going to be based on user design with a focus on e-commerce. So again, Greg touched on a lot of the themes, and it's actually amazing how many themes you can use from Shopify. But Pepper's going to dive a little bit deeper right into the actual design side of things to make sure that when you do have a customer land on your site, that they're going to stay there. And she's also going to get into the empathy side of things when you're thinking about the wording you want to use, as Greg mentioned, keywords, what's trending and stuff, but also making sure that the message that you're trying to get out there and you're saying is the one that should be said, and it's not going to end up being a turnoff for anybody or offensive, whatever. But another great one coming up next week. Small Business Month just keeps on rolling here. We got another one in the works for, oh gosh, a week after October 15th. I don't know if that's 22nd or 3rd, but more to come on that one. Stay tuned on our social channels and we'll keep you updated. And again, Greg, you've been awesome. Couldn't thank you enough. And thanks everybody else for attending. And Quentin, the IT in the background that nobody sees.
Thanks, man. Yeah, good job. Made everything run smooth.
That's
So
right.
thanks for the opportunity. I appreciate it. And thank your colleagues as well at the Small Business Center. Appreciate it.
Perfect. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a good day.
Take care.